to close down all institutions. However, Amar Ghare Amar School has brought your classroom to your home through Sangsad Bangladesh Television. So let's start today's class. The topic that we are going to learn today is narration. You remember that in the last class we focused on assertive sentences and how we can change assertive sentences from direct to indirect speech. In today's class, we are basically going to emphasize on interrogative sentences. You may find this lesson in your book at Unit 13, Lesson 1. Now what can you see in this picture? You can see that there is a boy and he is asking different types of questions. Let me read out the questions for you. So the first question is, how are you? The second question is, where have you been? Number 3, when did you come back? Number 4, what do you want to do now? Number 5, where are you staying? Number 6, are you happy to be back? Number 7, do you plan to go back? Number 8, where are your parents? And lastly, number 9, can you help me to go there? As you can see, all these sentences are in interrogative sentences and the questions have been made in different ways. For example, in some sentences the question has started with auxiliary verb. On the other hand, in other cases we can see that WH word has been used to pose a question. Yes students, you have guessed it right. The topic that we are going to learn today is interrogative sentences and we are going to focus how interrogative sentences can be changed from direct to indirect speech. So what are the learning outcomes of today's class? After finishing today's class, you will be able to understand the rules to change interrogative sentences from direct to indirect speech. Look at this chart. As you can see, there are two pictures given here. And interrogative sentences has been divided in two ways. That means a question can be asked in two ways. The first way is to ask question by yes/no question and the second category is WH questions, which means that interrogative sentences can be of two types. Question can be of WH or yes/no. So here are some examples of yes/no questions. Let's look at them at first. As you can see, am I smiling? Are you smiling? Do you know this? Does he know this? So as you can see in these questions, if someone asks me a question, do you know this? I can either answer yes, I know, or I can say no. So just using a single word, yes or no, I'm giving an answer. So that's why these questions have been referred to as yes/no question. Have you seen that? Will he take this money? So this type of questions can be mentioned as yes/no question. Now there are some examples of WH question. As you can see, I have posed many questions using different WH forms. For example, with what, I have asked the question, what is your favorite color? So what is generally used to ask question about a thing? When? Asking about a time of an event or activity. So whenever I'm asking about when something is done or when the action has taken place, I can ask the question with when. For example, when do you wake up every day? Where? Where asked about a place. So it is referring to a permanent place where the event has taken place. For example, where can I obtain the book? Who asked about a person, which means the subject. Who is at the door? On the other hand, whom asked about a person, that is the object. Whom is he dating? In the next question, which, we ask about an option or choice. So whenever you are asking about a choice or option, you can ask the question by introducing which. For example, which is the largest city in the world? As we can see the example of whose keys are on the kitchen counter. So this refers to a possession. Why? Why always asks for a reason. So it asks for a cause. For example, why do you say that? So when I have to answer this question, I can't just say yes or I can just say no. I have to tell a full sentence. For this reason, these questions are different from yes-no questions. In the last example, how asks about a procedure or method, how something is done. For example, how was your exam? I hope you have understood well what is the difference between yes-no question and WH questions. Now, how can we change direct speech to indirect speech in case of interrogative sentence? Let's have a look. In a direct yes-no question, a question is changed into a statement. So whenever you ask a question, if it is yes or no question, whenever you are changing it from direct to indirect, we have to change it as a statement and not as a question. So you have to remember that in indirect speech, whatever we write, that must be in assertive form or statement. Now the second rule is reporting verb is changed into ask and connective if or whether is used. So in case of direct speech, we have the reporting verb say to. In that case, when you are using yes no question or when you are changing interrogative sentence, in indirect speech you have to write ask in place of say to or said. And you have to also use a connective if or whether, if the question is yes no. Number 3, remaining changes will change like assertive sentences. Now what does this mean? What is the remaining change? Remaining change means, you remember that in the assertive sentence class, I have focused on how and where the rules are going to be changed. For example, there was a rules of changing tense, there was a rule of changing pronoun, and there was a rule of changing time expressions as well. We are going to focus on that even on this day, but you have to remember these 3 things. Firstly, whenever you are changing an interrogative sentence from direct to indirect, you have to replace the reporting verb said to or said. Secondly, whenever you are changing from direct to indirect, what you are going to do? You are going to turn the sentence into a statement, that means in assertive sentence. And thirdly, the other changes like change of tense, change of pronoun, and change of time expressions will occur. And yes, as I said that we are going to change into a statement, that means that we have to use full stop instead of the question mark. Interrogative sentence beginning with an auxiliary verb are changed into indirect speech by using the connective if or whether. So if you see that you have yes no question in direct speech and you have to change it, the first thing that you should do is using the connective if or whether. The reporting verb said changes to asked in indirect speech. So as you can see, said is the reporting verb, but when we are changing it to indirect speech, we are going to replace said with asked. But yes, of course, if it is not in past tense, for example, if it is say, then we can say ask or asks. The most common reporting verbs used to report a question are asked and inquired of. Yes, you can also use inquired of, but I think it's more popular in our country to use asked. Note that the indirect speech is always in the assertive form. In other words, the interrogative sentences in the direct speech will change into assertive sentences in indirect speech. So we know the formula of assertive sentence. We have to put the subject at the beginning, then we have to put the verb, object, and then we have to use a full stop after the sentence. Now these are the rules to change tense in case of interrogative sentences. It can also be applicable in assertive sentences as well. So as you can see, in case of present indefinite tense, when we are changing it into indirect speech, we will change the tense to past indefinite. In case of present continuous, we are going to change it into past continuous. In case of present perfect, it will be changed into past perfect. Present perfect continuous is going to be changed into past perfect continuous. Past indefinite will be changed into past perfect. Past continuous will be changed into past perfect continuous. Past perfect and past perfect continuous is going to remain unchanged. That means we are not going to change the tense of past perfect and past perfect continuous. And in all future tenses, will be changed into would. Now these are how we can change the time expression or other adverbs of place and time in case of changing from direct to indirect speech. For example, now indirect speech will be changed into then in indirect. This will be changed into that. These will be changed into those. Here will be changed into there. Today will be changed into that day. Tonight will be that night. Tomorrow will be the next day or the following day. Yesterday will be the previous day or the day before. Ago will be before. Thus can be changed into so or in that way. Come can be changed either in go or in come depending on the context. Next day will be changed into the following day. Next month will be changed into the following month. Day before yesterday will be changed into 2 days ago. And day after tomorrow will be changed into 2 days later. So these are the rules how personal pronoun can be changed according to the Sun formula, which means that if you have first person, it is going to be changed according to the subject. As in, if subject of the quoted verse is in first person, then it will change according to the subject of the reported verb. For example, for the question, he said to her, am I eligible for this? It can be changed into indirect speech as he asked her if he was eligible for that. As you can see, the quoted subject was first person, am I. For that reason, we have changed it according to the subject. What was the subject? The subject was he. For that reason, we have written, he asked her if he. Now the second one. According to this formula of Sun, if the subject of the quoted verse is in second person, then it will change according to the object of the reporting verb. For example, if in direct speech we have he said to her, are you happy? Then in indirect speech it is going to be changed as he asked her if she was happy. So as you can see, the second person you was used. For that reason, what we have done, we have changed it according to the object. What was the object? The object was her. For that reason, we have written, he asked her if she was happy. Now the third one. If the subject of the quoted verse is in third person, then there will be no change. So it's very easy to remember. If you see that in the quoted speech, there is third person, you're not going to change it. So for example, he said to him, has she already left? The answer of indirect speech is going to be, he asked him if she had already left. As you can see that the subject here was third person, she. For that reason, it's remained unchanged. Now here is an example of how we have changed direct speech to indirect speech in case of interrogative sentence. For example, the first one. She said to him, are you writing a poem? Now the answer in indirect speech is, she asked him if he was writing a poem. She asked him if he was writing a poem. So what are the things we have done? The first thing that we have to focus on is the inverted comma must be deleted. Since you have changed it into assertive, we are going to use full stop instead of question mark. and said to has been replaced with asked. Since we have yes no question in here, we have used a connective if, and are, it was in present indefinite tense, it has been changed into was. So the answer goes like this: she asked him if he was writing a poem. Now the second one, I said to her, do you know this person? Now same rules are going to be followed even in this case. As you can see, I have used I first, then said to has been replaced with asked, her, comma has been deleted, inverted comma has also been omitted. Do you? Now this is a yes no question. For that reason we have used the connective whether. You can also use if in this place. She, we have changed the pronoun she. Why is that so? Because you know that it is in second person. Do you? Second person will be changed according to the object. So the object was her. For that reason we have used she here. The tense was in present indefinite, do, know. That means it will be changed into past indefinite, knew. This will be changed into that, and then we have the rest person. At the end of the sentence we have used full stop because it has been changed into assertive or statement. Now what are we going to do in case of WH question? In case of question words like who, how, where, what, whose, which, why, whom, same words, that means the same WH word will be used as a connective in the reported speech. Now this is the major difference between yes no question and WH question. In case of yes no question we have used the connective if or whether, but in case of WH question the same WH word is going to be used as the connective. For example, where do you live? She asked Meena. So how we have changed it? We have written she asked Meena where she lived. As you can see, the connective where has been used. Why? Because the question was WH. The second one, he said to Rohim, how do you write poems? The only difference from yes no question of here is he asked Rohim how he wrote the poems. So we have not used whether or if here because this is not yes no question. Since it is WH question, we have used the connective how. And the other rules that have been applied here is the change of tense, change of pronoun, replacement of asked, change of punctuation, and omission of inverted. Now let's have a quick recap of what we have learned today. Interrogative sentences can be changed from direct to indirect speech in two ways. Those which start with a helping verb such as is, am, are, or those which start with a question word such as what, why, when, where, how, etc. Interrogative sentences beginning with a helping verb are changed into indirect speech by using the connective if or whether. We have also looked at the rules of how tense can be changed, how time expressions can be changed, and how pronouns can also be changed. Dear students, now it's time for a homework. As you can see in this picture, I have given you some direct speech, and what you have to do? You have to change them to indirect speech according to the rules I have taught you today. First one, she said to me, are you coming with us? She said to me, are you unwell? I said to him, were you present at the meeting yesterday? The woman asked the stranger, should I help you? I said to him, who are you? The mother said to the daughter, do you know where John is? And lastly, have you anything to say on behalf of the accused? Said the judge to the lawyer. So what you have to do? You have to change them into indirect speech according to the rules. Dear students, do the homework, submit it to your respective teacher when the school reopens. The evaluation given by your teacher will be added to your continuous assessment. That's all for today. I hope you have enjoyed the class. Follow the rules given by the government. Stay home, stay safe. And if you want to watch this class again, go to our Facebook page, Amar Ghore Amar School, or you can watch it in our YouTube channel, Amar Ghore Amar School. Stay safe. Thank you.